We need to talk. In a film, long time ago, in a galaxy far away, there was a man called Ian Malcolm. And Ian Malcolm said, oh, but as well as that, he also said, life finds a way. Remember that moment? He talked about chaos theory and ran a bead of water down the back of Ellie's arm. It was a beautiful and arousing time. But he said that life finds a way, that life finds a way to get through insurpassable odds. And he was referring to dinosaurs and talking about how they were uncontrollable. But it also applies to Fallout as well. You know, you've got this massive amount of nuclear energy hitting the ground 210 years ago. And life would find a way. And in some ways, Fallout 4 absolutely embodies that. You know, you've got the radroaches, you've got the mirelurks, you've got the super mutants themselves, you've got the fact that you've got communities kind of all over the place, you've got life trying to find a way through this kind of massive environmental and sociological disaster. But in other ways, it actually doesn't, and especially in the realms of plant life and kind of other animal life. And I've got a little bit of greenery on my floor there, but that actually comes from a mod I've already installed a couple of weeks ago. But by and large, Fallout represents that plant life will not find a way. It gives us dead trees. It gives us very brown, tiny patches of grass. It gives us highly irradiated water. Nearly all of the plant life, all of the animal life is kind of vicious and scaly and kind of like kind of arachnid style, with the exception of birds, which seem to be absolutely fine. And don't you think, when you think about it, that 210 years, that wouldn't be the case? Life would have found a way. Trees would be flourishing. Grass would be everywhere. These buildings and the buildings that we come across all around the wasteland would have been reclaimed by nature, snatched. So it almost kind of looks like a kind of Indiana Jones style Aztec adventure, because the nature would have just taken over. Now, I'm not saying that I disagree with the Fallout 4 style. I think it's a choice that they've chosen, that they want the world to be barren, to give it that kind of empty, depressed, negative look, and you as the character can decide whether you kind of want to continue that negativity and kind of be a kind of selfish character, or whether you want to kind of be the beacon of hope in the wasteland. So I've got no problems with how the game looks. But I do think, if you think about it logically, that life would have found a way, and that there would have been a lot, and I mean a lot, more greenery around at this point. So, luckily, we don't need to grow it, and we don't need to plant it, and we don't need to cultivate it. We just need to mod it. Welcome to Mod It, and more importantly, welcome to perhaps one of the most instantly impressive mods you have ever seen. You know, there are some brilliant mods on the Nexus. There are some that change huge amounts about the gameplay, but there are only a few that just have that initial wow factor. And this mod is definitely one of the most memorable, and if you've seen video clips or photos already, then you know what's about to happen. But just ask yourself this question: what would a world look like 200 years without humanity? You know, what if humanity was forced back into tribes and small little units, rather than having the massive city? This, Resurrection Dev says, is your answer. The Resurrection mod suggests that the world would be utterly reclaimed by nature. That greenery and shrubbery, trees, bushes, flowers would sprout everywhere. Maybe not initially after the bombs, you know, there'd be radiation and things like that. But, you know, if you look at real life radiation incidents, plants come back pretty quick. And boy, have they done so here. And this is not only just a few plants on the ground, which are very well done, because there's been a few mods, grass mods, that kind of do similar things like that. But this is actually a complete texture overhaul, because you can see it doesn't just affect the floor, it affects the other textures in the game as well. And so the idea is that this greenery, this natural invader, has taken over huge amounts of the Commonwealth and the wasteland, leaving you this kind of like tiny, it makes you feel really small, you know, this kind of tiny, insignificant person exploring the jungle that has been left behind of 200 years of non-human activity. Now, Resurrection Dev, who is the maker of the Resurrection mod, says that this mod is about 45% complete, and it's the 3rd of June. I've just woken up, and you can see here two clear examples of the mod being brilliantly done, but not quite done. You know, one vehicle here which is utterly covered in kind of green moss and lichen and all those kind of things, or lichen, depending on where you live in the world, and this one here is not quite done. But even in its partial state, it is absolutely incredible. And it not only does it affect the floor and the sound and all those kind of things. Can you hear that? There are bird sounds, and there's actually the occasional elephant sound as well. But what Resurrection Dev has done is just this utter feeling of complete immersion in this jungle. Now, some people, like I said in the introduction, some people prefer the kind of barren look, and I think that Fallout is a barren game, because this is more like Skyrim and Far Cry and Nathan Drake Uncharted series. Like, this isn't really like Fallout, but that doesn't matter. It's a mod. It's the kind of thing that you would install when you've had a go at Fallout, and you put this in, and it feels new again. It feels fresh. And from a gameplay perspective, it hides so much in the kind of jungle as well. Like, this area here is full of skeletons, and I know it is, but I can barely see them. And so it makes this idea of kind of peeking and peering through the kind of jungle so much more, it's kind of fun, really, especially on a kind of a second or a third playthrough where you kind of know where the main stories are. You've kind of seen most of this before, because all of a sudden it feels new again. It feels different. Now, this doesn't alter the gameplay at all. Like, it is not a gameplay mod. It is a purely visuals mod. But at the same time, it really does alter the gameplay, because it's all physically the same. The enemies are still going to be in the same place. That's a different mod. You know, all the bridge and the water is all in the same place, but you can't see anything. Like, you literally cannot see the wood for the trees. And so this idea that before you'd kind of look out along some kind of viewpoint and see like 10 buildings in the difference and know what to head for, that is gone. And especially if you kind of role play a character or turn off the compass and things like that, you are pretty much screwed. You know, you are just going to find a direction and go for it. Even the roads are kind of just about visible, but they are massively grown over. Now, I've always had an objection in the past to the greener mods, and those of you that have seen my roleplay will know I have I think it's called a Touch of Green? I'm not sure. I've got a few of them that I've had on and off, but the ones that just kind of randomly put kind of green grass around the edge, I don't like, because you get this kind of green bit here and then this completely wrecked house and this kind of green bit here and then a completely untouched car, and it kind of looks fake. It looks like you're just trying to make the world look prettier, whereas this doesn't, because every single thing, and looking at the houses in Sanctuary there, every single thing is part of this green world. The whole, every building, every car, most objects, most objects are now completely covered in this natural parasite, and it doesn't look like you're trying to make the stuff pretty. It just looks like you are living in a world which has been overrun by nature rather than a world which has been irradiated and dead. So for that reason, I think this is so much better than any other green mod we've had so far. Obviously a huge amount of work more than those mods as well. This must have taken him so long, and this is only one of about 4 versions he's going to work on. There's this version which he says is 45% complete. There's a dead version which is now 5% complete, which basically has things to keep me alive, which basically has it kind of puts a lot more kind of rubble and stones, and it has more trees, but everything is very much kind of dead, which is a different look. There's a winter version, which I'm really looking forward to. So this is part one of what is going to be a huge work. And I don't know how much. I'm not an expert in creating these mods, so I don't know how much of these are. How many of these trees are randomly placed and how many of them have been kind of placed by hand. But look at this lovely tree that's now lying across the entrance to Sanctuary. I'm sure this one must be manually placed. But little things like this just kind of make the experience new and different. And so there's not a lot. Basically, you're either going to love this mod or hate it. And I think most of you will love it. But it is a huge, and I do mean huge, download. Probably one of the biggest mods I've ever downloaded. And it's not fully, what's the phrase, like broken down yet. Like you can do various things to kind of the files to kind of make them look a lot more to make them a lot kind of smaller and optimized. There's the word. It's not fully optimized yet. It will get smaller. It will get kind of more kind of slick. It does have an impact on frames per second, but not as much as like an ENB or a kind of lighting mod and things like that. But it will have an impact on your internet usage for the month. And you know that, but other than those kind of minor downsides of it being huge, it is an incredible piece of work. It's a piece of art, really. So I can honestly say to you, you have got, if your computer can handle it and your disk space can handle it, you've got to come and try out this mod, Resurrection mod by Resurrection Dev, and you've got to endorse it, and you've really got to vote for this as well. Sadly, I've already done my kind of vote for this month, but if you haven't, you've got to use it because this is absolutely phenomenal. As always, do read through the installation instructions and make sure that you know what you're doing. But other than that, it's the usual files, install it to the Nexus Mod Manager, and off you go. What a stunning alternative way to enjoy Fallout. Fancy an adventure? Fancy going exploring? Fancy getting lost in the woods with a couple of super mutants and a ghoul? Fancy having raiders come at you? Showed someone this screenshot. Fallout? Skyrim? Something else? But it is. Post-nuclear world doesn't have to be as barren as you might remember it. If you have enjoyed this video, then please hit that like button. And if you want to see more from me, then do hit the, and if you enjoyed the kind of style of the video, then please press the subscribe button. Check out my other modded videos. I've also got some role plays on the go, some permanent death role plays, some building role plays, some build it videos, and loads of videos for loads of other games as well, including Skyrim and Fallout 3 and all sorts of others. So I do hope that you stick around on the channel. Why would you ever need to watch anyone else? You have been fantastic. Happy exploring. Let me know what you find out there, and I will see you soon.